Arch Manning didn't have his best spring game. Okay, went 5 for 13, 30 yards. And I think we need to unpack that just a little bit. Really quickly, though, everyone watching live, man, we appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all locking in with us. Make sure you like the video. It just helps us boost more of what you want to see. Also, make sure you're subscribed. We talk ball here every single day. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram at JDPakel. Now, as I was saying, Arch Manning had his first outing on the 40 acres, went 5 for 13, 30 yards. Not a phenomenal stat line. You see that and you go, I'd like to see a little bit better from the guy. I think there's more that needs to be talked about within that stat line because we have a lot of people, Twitter quarterbacks, as I call them, Twitter QBs, that took to the timeline and just are roasting Arch Manning and saying, this is who you thought was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. This guy wouldn't play it down at insert X, Y, and Z school here. And to be honest with you, Twitter quarterbacks are going to Twitter quarterback. So, I mean, you can't really help someone who doesn't want to be helped. But I think we need to just unpack this with just a little bit more depth to it. Let's start with this. The 5 for 13 thing. Went back and watched it. He had 2 incompletions that were drops, and he had 2 other plays where throwing it away was the right play. So you say, yeah, you went 5 for 13, but 9 out of those 13 tries, you made the right decision, which is, in Arch Manning's position, I think all you're after at this point in a spring game. Here's the real conversation. The last name Manning, just as a whole, elevated everybody's expectations so high. It would have been very difficult for Arch Manning to put together a spring game that would have satisfied the expectations of the college football public, just the way that it is. Now, what I would also say is with Arch Manning, the tricky part is his high school career largely was under reps, right? Didn't go to the camp circuit, didn't do the all-star circuit. Film wasn't super accessible for him. So a lot of us have one data point for Arch Manning, and that's the spring football game. And so some people, that's caused them to look at the chart and say, we got one bad data point. The chart looks bad. That's who Arch Manning is. Written him off. Done. Thanks so much. Okay, then you have the more reasonable side of us that are saying, we have one data point on this chart, so the chart is skewed. So, using reason, we can expect to get more data and for that chart to eventually round itself out a little bit more and look like a more coherent body of work for what Arch Manning is as a quarterback. We're not making evaluations. We're not making definitive statements off of one practice because make sure we remember that. It was a big-time spot, but it was practice 15 for Texas in that spring football game. He's been on campus for a very short period of time. So I think we need to make sure we understand this is one data point. Don't let the ugliness of the chart cause you to lose your reason here. All right? Now, here's one more thing we got to talk about. The people that were already hating on Arch Manning, the people that were quick to be on the timeline, the Twitter quarterbacks, listen, they were going to be saying something negative about him anyway. I got more thoughts on that. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're locked in right here. We talk ball every single day. I'm not going to waste too much more time. We love y'all for locking in with us. All right? Now, here's my thing. Do you trust at JimBob42, the Twitter quarterback, or do you trust Nick Saban and Kirby Smart? Because like I said, JimBob42 is likely already upset because Arch Manning didn't pick his school and he's not going to whatever his alma mater was. And they've just decided, you know what? I'm out on Arch Manning. I'm going to find a way to sway the public's opinion with my Twitter fingers. And I'm going to make sure my opinion is the loudest, and I will get it out there. That's JimBob42. Then you have Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, who put food on the table by putting together good football teams, by recruiting good football teams. Nick Saban, resume speaks for itself, greatest of all time. Kirby Smart, back-to-back national champion. From the Nick Saban coaching tree, do we need to unpack this too much more? Both those individuals, I trust, have put a little bit more work in than whoever your buddy is on Twitter trying to put down Arch Manning. And again, he was already out to get him to begin with. So when we talk about Arch Manning, you can be underwhelmed by the spring football game, but still believe that Arch Manning is going to be a good quarterback. His uncle also set the rookie record for interceptions in the NFL. And his name is Peyton, and it turned out okay for him. So what I'm trying to tell you is, yes, it's not an impressive showing. Yes, it's a frustrating thing to see a guy with so much hype and so much pressure on him not be able to put a better performance forward. But to look at this chart of one negative data point and just completely write him off and say, that's who Arch Manning is, like, let's use a little bit more reason here. Let's understand there's more to this Arch Manning story than just one subpar spring game. Okay? A lot of people that know a lot about football make a lot more money than both you and I to know about football, i.e. head coaches, are in on Arch Manning. So let's reserve some judgment here. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.